I am Jim Collison, and this is Gallup's Call to Coach, recorded on November 21st, 2023. Call to Coach is a resource for those who want to help others discover and use their strengths. We have Gallup experts and independent strengths coaches share tactics, insights, and strategies to help coaches maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you're listening live on our Gallup.com page, there's a link to the chat right above me there. If you're listening on Facebook or LinkedIn, you can leave comments below the video if you have questions after the fact. You can always send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or right there on YouTube so you never miss an episode. Dean Jones is our host today. Dean is the Global Talent Development Architect and Senior Learning Expert for Gallup, as well as the chair of Gallup's Diversity Council. And Dean, always great to have you on Call to Coach. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jim. Good to be here. Super excited about today's session. So we got a big announcement today. This is a special session where we're going to be talking about, we have an all-new CliftonStrengths Top 5 report. This report's going to be launching on January 20th. We want to give people kind of a preview of the report today. This report has been in the works for a while. So there's been a crew, including our friend Austin Solentrop, who recently left Gallup. But there's a crew that's been working on this report for a while. It'll replace our current Strengths Insight Guide. And I am so excited to be able to share it with you all today. We're going to actually look at the report itself. We got a sample report we're going to show everybody. It'll include more resources than ever, both for people who know their Clifton strengths and for people who are just discovering their Clifton strengths. And as part of that kind of inside look today, we're going to talk about some of the logistics around the launch of the report so everybody knows kind of what to expect as we start to go around that. To do that, Jim, I brought a friend.
Always good to phone a friend, Dean. Always
exactly. I was like, yeah, exactly. The more the merrier. So joining us today is Andrew Bridger. Some of you may know Andrew. Andrew's our Gallup's Director of Marketing for CliftonStrengths. And so, Andrew, do you want to just kind of tell people about yourself? Great to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks I always love when I get phone a friend. I'm always happy to join. So I'm Andrew Bridger. I have been with Gallup for just over a decade. And I'm the Director of Marketing for CliftonStrengths, as Dean just said. So I get the awesome opportunity to wake up every day and think through how do we bring strengths to more people. So whether that's through this content that we're working on with Jim Collison here, or anything on our website, or anything you see on social media, we're thinking through how do we bring more strengths to more people. So really excited. I forgot to lead with that. I lead with competition, activator, achiever, strategic, and futuristic. So fairly intense. That's why Dean and I get along so well. We are always moving on things.
Yeah, we were just laughing before the broadcast today. We were talking about activator, my activator, Andrew's activator. The two of those together, it's very exciting. So, Andrew, we're going to start today. Why don't you just tell us about the process that kind of led up to this report? Can you just talk about how did we decide to create the report? Kind of what was the impetus for doing all this? Can you just give us some of the background there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was lucky. I've been a part of all of the role-based reports and the CliftonStrengths 34 report. So going back, I think it's been 7 or 8 years now since we first created that kind of new report. So I've been a part of all of them in some facet or another. But it really started a couple years ago, and the thought was, how do we reimagine the top 5 report? How do we not just design it and make it look better than what it used to look like, but how do we bring more value? How do we provide more insights for people, for existing users who know their strengths or have known their strengths for many years, or people just starting? And so for the past couple of years, we've been spending a lot of time doing user testing, focus groups with clients, coaches, all sorts of usability things to figure out how we could go from what was the Strengths Insight Guide to this new top 5 report and make it just not only better looking, but the content even better than it was before.
Yeah, that was one of the things I will tell you, Andrew, the first time I saw it, that was one of the things that really struck me was it's packed with all this great valuable strengths information, and it's scaled for somebody who's just being introduced to strengths. But one of the cool things for me, we were talking about this before, was it literally from the first kind of top 5 report, it introduces people to all these great concepts that are part of what we know is kind of our, the basic level of strengths education. It really does bring people, I think it's better at bringing people into the world of strengths than anything we've ever done, right? Can you, Can you talk about some of the things that the report includes? Because it's just so much packed into the report.
Yep, and I know you'll show some of this stuff off here in just a little bit. But what was really fun is when we first started down this road and we had a huge whiteboard of what could this be, like what all could we pack into this thing, and all the way from our insight statements that we have to do we include things on weaknesses and managing our lower four strengths too. So starting from a huge whiteboard and then starting to kind of tailor down of like, okay, how much do you put into the actual report? What complements each other as best as possible, and how does it kind of build on each other, right? And so some of the things that are in this new report that you'll see here soon is, so you understand your top 5 strengths, rightfully so, top 5 report. You get your unique insight statements. So the insight statements are not changing. Some of them have been cleaned up from a vernacular perspective. Words change over time. We wanted to make them more succinct and clean to read. But some of the newest stuff is we have theme pairings that are in this, which Dean will get into. It's my favorite part of this new report because it's something that hasn't existed in any of our other reports before. Action items. We've got all sorts of resources to help people better understand their strengths from a name, claim, aim perspective to having conversations with others. We really wanted to not only just make it a reflective aha report for people to better understand themselves, but make it very easy for people to apply their strengths throughout their life, whether that's at work, at home, wherever it may be. We wanted to make sure that this could be a piece of content that they could take and apply outside of just reading it.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And as you said, Andrew, we're going to talk about some of the cool parts of the report and show you a little bit of the report. One question is, so will everybody who's taken CliftonStrengths have access to this report? Can you talk about that for just a minute?
Yep. Quick answer is yes. So the best part about this for all of our existing users is you don't have to do anything. Come January 20th, when we launch this new report, it will be in Gallup Access. You don't have to do anything at all. Everyone who has taken strengths before will already have access to it.
Great. That's awesome. So you really don't have to do anything immediately. Everybody who's done CliftonStrengths will have access to this top 5 report in addition to any other reports that they've already purchased, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
But they've got access to that so that they can take advantage of this. You don't have to do anything to do that automatically. It's just right there, right?
Right there. Yep.
That's perfect on January 20th when it launches, right?
Yes. Yep. You got it.
Yeah. Andrew, tell me a little bit about the signature themes report. So that's been the report. I know that some folks have got that baked into courses that they're working on. Is the signature themes report going away?
Great question. And part of this is the naming of this new report is the CliftonStrengths Top 5 report to help with some of the confusion we've heard around the naming of our quote unquote top 5 reports. So the signature theme report is staying. That is not going away. That's still available in all of those languages and a really good starting spot. The Strengths Insight Guide will be going away. So on January 20th, when you log in to go see your reports, the Strengths Insight Guide will no longer be there. It will be replaced with this new CliftonStrengths Top 5 report. So if you do want a copy of that Insight Guide, make sure you go in and download it prior to that so you have a copy, because once that date changes, that will go away. But signature theme report, to your point, Dean, will still be there.
So the signature theme report, that's got all the standard definitions of your top 5. That's staying, right?
Yes.
The Strengths Insight report will be replaced, right? So before January 20th, if for some reason you want that Strengths Insight report, you should go download that. What I have heard, people have asked me, are my top 5 strengths going to change when I go to this report? So you said some of the insights have kind of been cleaned up a little bit. Will my top 5 change, or do I need to retake the assessment in any way? Can you just talk about that piece, please?
Yep. Great question. So your strengths will not change. We don't recommend people retake the assessment. There's no need to. All of your existing strengths results will then just flow into this new top 5 report. One thing that you mentioned that I think is really important to reiterate is the insight statements from the Insight Guide and the insight statements from this new report will essentially be the same. So if you're concerned about losing content or you're not losing anything at all. Everything that was existing in the Insight Guide will be in the new top 5 report plus some. So you don't be concerned about losing content and making sure you download the old one.
Yeah. Here's the thing is I'm laughing. I'm watching the chat and the coaches are going nuts. Here, it just makes me laugh. Can you imagine if your strengths changed, right? Exactly. Sorry, I'm not activator anymore. Number 1, deliberative. So, hey, here's another kind of related question along this too, Andrew, is if I've shared my current top 5 report with somebody, if I shared these strengths insight guide or my strengths with somebody, will they have access to this new Clifton Strengths top 5 report?
Yes, they will. So the biggest part, one huge part on the technology side that we worked through with this new report is how do we make sure this is a seamless transition for everyone? So you will see no adjustment or nothing new in how you are sharing reports. Everything that you had shared previously will still be shared. They'll still see your new report. Um,
Right.
any unused codes you may or may not have will still unlock access the new report. So it really is very little change management on the customer side. Now on our side, obviously we're working very hard to make sure that goes as smooth as we possibly can. But on the customer side, it will be a very seamless transition.
Yeah, I want to just emphasize Jim. I think Jim Brophy asked that question earlier, and I want to go back to that about. I think he asked it on LinkedIn. What happens if coaches have an existing stock of top 5 codes that they own? What those codes are still good. You'll still use those codes. Those are still top 5 codes. After January 20th, they access the new report versus the old report. Anybody who buys that old report on before January 20th will get the new report on January 20th. Anything else about that we should be aware of as coaches?
Nope, I thought you said that. You said that very well. So any unused codes, you'll access the new report, or if on January 10th you go and send someone to take the strengths assessment, they'll get the old report, and then 10 days later they'll get the new report. So there's nothing that they need to worry about in terms of unused codes in distributing those.
Great. Awesome. That's great. You guys, let's take a look at this report. Jim, were you going to chime in here? Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. You answered those questions. Let me bring the report in. I
Great.
think there's been a lot of questions in chat about what the report looks like. Guys, hang tight on your questions. We got a lot of material to cover, and we'll get questions here at the end as well.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. You guys, I thought I'd just give you kind of an overview of the report. And again, we know that like, I love that the excitement around the report. I think it's so cool. I am so excited about this. I think it's going to be really, really, really a game changer for those people, particularly that use the top report. A lot of folks go straight to all 34. Of course, we want people to be able to do that. We want people to unlock all 34 themes for themselves. But for those that use this top 5 report, I think this is really going to make a difference. Here's what's included in this report, just to give you kind of a quick rundown, right? It'll include your top 5 Clifton Strengths themes. It's got a guide for using the report today and in the future. It'll talk about how your strengths are unique to you in the report, right? It'll also talk about how your top 5 strengths combine to make you unique, right? Andrew referenced that in a minute, and we're going to show you that in a minute. It's one of the coolest things I think about the report is right away it introduces people to theme dynamics, right? So how your top 5 strengths combine to make you a really unique human being, right? It's got action items that you can implement immediately. It's got a practical outline on how to use your dominant strengths, and it's also got a guide around having conversations with other people around that. So this is the first page of the report. So what Jim is showing you right now is the first page of the report. What it's got, and you'll see in a really straightforward way, it's got your top 5 themes ranked, right? In terms of intensity from 1 to 5, right? There's short statements about each theme, and it's color coded by the domains they're in. Now that may seem like an obvious thing, but the old report wasn't this way, right? And so one of the cool things is it introduces those domains right away. So people start to relate to those talent themes inside of the 4 domains. So I think that's super useful for people around this, right? So Andrew, anything you'd add about this first page?
No, other than the fact that just visually, I smile when I see it compared to looking at the Strengths Insight Guide. It looks so great compared to what it used to.
Yeah, and there's the key code at the bottom that introduces the 4 domains there. Super straight. Why don't you go to the next page, because that's where we really get into the 4 domains. So this is a standard page. You'll see it's customized at the top with your top 5. That's the individualized top 5. But you see all 4 domains, and you see which themes are part of which domains on that second page. So one of the things, I think this is markedly different than we've done in the past. So in the past, philosophically, we didn't introduce domains as quickly with people that had done top 5. Here we're introducing those domains so people start to think about their talent themes inside of those 4 domains, and how do they kind of work through it, right? Jim, why don't you go to the third page here? Now, this is the first page that starts to introduce your top 5 themes. So you can see this is the first theme. We get the standard definition of the theme. Then we get all the insight statements, right? So one of the things I love about this is that it shows you, it sounds funny, but there's like that key code in the middle of the page that shows you your top 5, right? Shows you which of your top 5 we're working on. And again, it's color-coded relative to the domains, right? So we're able to see that. And again, those insight statements are personalized, just like the Strengths Insight Guide. Those are dynamically generated statements that are unique to you and your all 34 themes, right? So they're really designed to be able to those are your unique, the shaded statements there are unique to each individual human being around that. I think it's one of the things that makes Strengths so powerful for people is how incredibly personalized it is for people, and how it really captures the diversity of the population. It's one of those things that makes CliftonStrengths just so powerful. Anything you'd add here, Andrew?
Just reiterating that this is always, as we were working through this page, this is the AHA page, right? This is their first strength. These are the insight, personalized, customized statements that describe them. And this is where people start to have that AHA moment, right? So just reiterating that personalized approach to this page.
Yeah, it's just great. And then I love, the Justin said in the chat, one of the things is you can see how it ties so beautifully, it aligns so beautifully with the CliftonStrengths 34 report, right? So there's that great alignment there. So when people move from this report to the 34 report, it feels like there's just the design is similar. It feels like there's great alignment there around that. So that's just perfect. Jim, why don't you go to page 4 on that, right? Okay, great. So one of the things that this page 4 is new. Sorry, my screen didn't refresh. There we go. Perfect. Okay, this page 4 is new, and it's one of the coolest things I think about this new report is right away it shows you how this theme, each theme it's talking about combines with the other 4 themes in your top 5. So it really introduces the concept of theme dynamics from the very first report. And we know that understanding theme dynamics really helps people to unlock strengths in such a powerful way. It's one of the things that really makes strengths really valuable for people is one is knowing each individual theme and how that theme works, but then also understanding how does that theme combine with other themes to make me a unique person, right? There's also action items associated with each one. And so under each combination, there's an action item that's designed to help you understand and start to develop this theme, right? Now, one of the things Andrew reminded me before, this is not personalized. So every time for everybody that's got significance combined with futuristic, as it's shown there, that statement's going to be the same. That's not individualized to each person, but it is unique to that combination, right? So it's an action item that's unique to that combination that helps people get started using those 2 talent themes in combination with one another, right? Around that. So, and then obviously we've got, on this page at the bottom of page 4 here, we've got some action items on how you use that theme, that significance theme. Just like every one of your themes, you'll have some action items that allow you to be able to capitalize on that and start to really develop that theme. Andrew, anything on this, or Jim, anything on this page?
Yeah, let me. Action items were something we had in the Insight Guide long ago when we consolidated that on top 5. Those we removed those and placed them elsewhere. We're bringing them back as part of this new top 5 report to have those action items there and available for the individuals looking. So for those of you who gave us feedback on action items, they are back.
I was just going to say that was one of the big drivers of that is those focus groups that I talked about earlier in people wanting more of those actions and application versus reflective in nature. And so definitely listening to those who gave feedback around that, and making sure we nailed that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Why don't we go to page 14? So we go through each one, as Jim's kind of flipping through this. Each one of your top 5, you have that exact same combination. The insight statements that are personalized for each human being, right? All the action items, the theme dynamics piece. Then when you get to page 14, the other thing that's cool about this, I think Jan, said earlier, how many pages is it? Right? I think there's about 16. Is it 16 pages? I think in the whole report. Is that right, Jim?
Yep,
I think 16 pages.
16.
16. Yeah. So I mean, that just alone is just much more robust. What's cool here is starting on page 14, and I think this is something that's really going to be super helpful, is there's lots of resources beginning on page 14 for people to start to develop their strengths. So we're bringing people into that concept of developing your strengths. I think for a lot of people that would get their top 5 report, not really know where to start. Right? How do I get into the world of strengths? How do I start to be able to do this? And so you can see, and I'll just briefly go through each one of these. One is there's a lot. So there's lots of resources to help unlock the potential of CliftonStrengths, help to be able to develop your themes. There's an exercise to begin naming, claiming, and aiming each one of your top 5 strengths. And you see the QR code here that will lead people online to be able to support them. There's an activity that they can do around that. Again, we're introducing name it, claim it, aim it right from the beginning. So people are thinking about that as the model that they're using to be able to start to develop their strengths. There's additional resources in Gallup Access. So you see the QR code here that people can go in, sign in to their account in Gallup Access to be able to take advantage of those CliftonStrengths resources. Let's go to the next page, Jim. And then you can explore all 34 of your strengths. So if they're ready to upgrade, they've got their top 5, they're ready to upgrade. It's an easy way that people can go explore all 34. They'll be able to also explore the role-specific CliftonStrengths reports if that's something they're interested in. And we help to kind of facilitate their sharing. So the last piece on this page is engaging in conversation about your CliftonStrengths. How do you start to share and talk about your CliftonStrengths with other people? We know one of the things that really makes a difference for people in terms of mastering their strengths is they're out sharing their strengths with others. They're starting to socialize their strengths with the people that they traffic with, right? So being able to do that will be super important there. Andrew, anything you want to say about this resources section on 14
Yeah, I
and
saw
15?
a couple of questions in the chat. So the QR codes. So we had to account for a lot of things, right? People print their reports off and have the paper copy right in front of them. Others are in Gallup Access or on the app and viewing it digitally. So we wanted to make sure that in this back section, regardless of how you were looking at this report, you could take a next step. So in here, if you're on your desktop or in the app, there are clickable links to go to those resources that we just talked about. If it's printed, you can then take your phone, scan the QR code, and get there very easily as well. So we wanted to make sure, however you were viewing your report, you could easily get to any of these additional resources.
That's great. So I'm just sensitive to time. Andrew, so tell us again, when does the new report launch?
Yep. January 20th is when this report will launch. Now, if you guys are looking at the calendar and I saw someone make a post about it, that is a Saturday. So do I encourage you to go in at 12:01 a.m. on Saturday morning? I do not encourage you to do that. Give us some time just to make sure. So we do launch this generally over the weekend because we do see slower traffic on our systems then, and we want to make sure we QA everything. So we will be working over that weekend to make sure everything's going as seamless as we knew it would. And then we'll start to do that external communication to all of our users about that new report the following week. So if you are excited and want to go in on January 20th, you are more than welcome to do so and go see it. But we will start all of that mass and large communication to our audiences that following week.
That was one question I saw earlier in the chat too, and Andrew, that I had for you is, can you talk just a little bit? We're not going to communicate before the 20th around it. Once it's live and it's launched, then we start communicating. Can you just talk? I think people are concerned, hey, will people be notified that this report is there? How will people be notified? Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yep, great question. So we have email campaigns going out over the next month just to let people know that this is coming. Now, we've had over 30 million people take their strengths, and email deliverability is only so good, right? So we're doing as best as we can to let people know this is coming ahead of time, at least a month in advance, so they can go download that old report if they want to. But then again, we'll have multiple notifications via email, social, Gallup Access, nudges, things like that after the fact, so that people can go in and view that new report. So if you have not heard from us yet, you will here in the next couple of weeks.
That's great. That's awesome. And then one of the things I know about this report is the new report's available in many, many languages right from the beginning. So that's a little different. Usually we launch in English and then we translate. Can you talk a little bit about that and what languages it'll be available in?
Yeah, absolutely. So for our role-based reports for the past 5 years, we've always launched with English, and then 3-4 months later or so is when we released our in-language versions of it. And most of that is a QA thing on our side to make sure that everything's working how we want. We knew, though, with the Strengths Insight Guide going away with this new report, that wasn't a plausible option, right? We wanted to make sure that all of those languages were available and there was no lapse in service, for lack of a better term. So when we launch January 20th, and I got my paper here so I don't mess it up, we'll have English, Chinese, Dutch, French, German, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Spanish, and Thai. So every language that the Insight Guide was available in will be available in the new Top 5 report.
Okay. And again, do folks who have CliftonStrengths, do they have to do anything to get this report?
You do nothing other than log in and find the report. And you can find that report in the same spot where you currently find your Insight Guide. So if you go to the reports tab in Gallup Access, there's where those are the reports that you have access to. You can see those and it will show up right there. So after January 20th, you have to do nothing. It will be there for you to start engaging with.
Yeah. And again, the signature themes report not going away, right?
Right.
The Strengths Insight Guide is going away, right? All the information from that will be in this new report. But if for some reason you want that format, you do have to go in before January 20th. If for some reason you for nostalgia purposes, you feel like you need to print it, right? Like before the 20th, you got to go in and grab that. Otherwise, it is going away. It will be replaced with this new CliftonStrengths Top 5 report. Correct?
You've got it. If you have input, you may want to go grab it. If you're like me and don't, you're not worried about it. So yes, if you want it ahead of time, go get it. If not, it will be gone on the 20th.
That's great. That's awesome. Okay. Jim, let's take a couple questions. I think we got a couple minutes before we have to wrap here. Let's take a couple questions about the report.
Let me go back. I've kind of consolidated them, and let me give you a pro tip here for a second. Go back after we're done. This is going to be available for immediate viewing on YouTube. It's available. Or if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, those links should be available. You can review this again. We've given you a ton of information, and I'm seeing in the questions we've already answered. So it's okay. There's a lot of information. Go back and review this. We're going to cut it off here in just a second, but review the video as well. Andrew, sample report. When will that be available for individuals to view?
Yep. So we are working through that to be available for our coaches and for our community in December. We don't have a date yet because we're still, I know you saw the Don Clifton sample report. There are many little itty bitty details we are still working through to make sure that is finalized, that we're working on. So it will be in the middle of December when that will happen. What I recommend too is in Gallup Access, there is a banner in the CliftonStrengths area that links to an FAQ page all about this. So even if we didn't hit on all of the questions you may or may not have, if you go to that page we created, it has everything under the sun you could think of, whether it's from book codes or unused codes, whatever it may be. We will have answers on that page for you guys.
It's a really robust FAQ. So make sure you can go in, log in. There's some information about that now. That's available right now, right? That I can get to that FAQ from the banner. Is that right?
Correct.
That's correct. And pricing wise, this is going to, on January 20th, price change, right? We'll go to $24.99 for this report, and that'll be all top 5. Coaches, separate your code purchases from the reports in this case, right? A lot of questions around, am I going to be able to use those codes? Any codes you've purchased in the past, you'll be able to use. On January 20th, all this will happen automatically behind the scenes, and those reports will switch. Insight Guide will switch with this new top 5 report and be available to everyone in that way. Andrew, we for the role-based reports, we've created a coaching's guide for this that we've put in the certified coaches kind of page for that have materials. Are we going to do that for them as well on this one?
Yep, we will do that for this as well. Our goal is to get this out to our coaches ahead of the launch so that people can look at that and prepare. Me and Jim here, thank you for teaming me up. Are planning on working on that here in the coming weeks to make sure we have that ready for you guys. So yes, we will make sure we provide that coaching guide for all of our coaches.
I think one of the questions too, going to be a lot of feedback on the format. In we're pretty locked into what's coming out on January 20th. But don't stop your comments coming in. If you want to give us feedback on future revisions, any of those kinds of things, we will take those. They won't go in February. Let's just be really clear about that, coaches. So, but we always appreciate your feedback and want to hear how it's working for you or some ideas that you might have.
That's right.
Dean, as you're looking through, I think I've covered just about everything we wanted to cover here from a language perspective, from a sample perspective. If you're listening to this right now in November, we still have a lot of things coming to you December and January. And so if you have any questions, you can always email us coaching@gallup.com and those will just come to me. But anything else, Dean? Andrew?
I would just say for the coaches, just make sure that you're in Facebook. We'll be providing updates around that. So just be watching Facebook as we go to that. Stay close to that FAQ page that Andrew mentioned. I would highly recommend that everybody go to that on Gallup.com and bookmark that page so you can go back to that page if you need to around that. And we're going to continue to provide updates around this, right? And as Jim said, I think the feedback is excellent. Not all the feedback will be able to be implemented right away, right? But we're listening to it. We want to make sure that that we can take the feedback that impacts the most people and be able to implement that. So I think
just one final reminder,
Yeah.
Dean, for our certified, and there was a comment in here from Heather, just a comment. We've adjusted for 2024. We've adjusted the discount code to accommodate the price change for you. So we've been sending details out about that. Not everybody who watches this is going to be a certified coach. But again, if you have questions, send us an email, coaching@gallup.com.
Another great reason to be certified.
Exactly. Well, I think with that, are we good? Have we cleared everything? You guys want me to wrap this up?
I think we're good. Yeah, you guys. I just want to say to all the coaches, thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate everything that you do. We've appreciated your feedback around this that has led to this, and we really appreciate all of your support. So thanks so much. We're excited to be able to share this with you, and we hope that this continues to kind of fuel your practice.
Agreed. With that, we'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available in Gallup Access. We mentioned that, but an easy link to that, my.gallup.com. Log in with your credentials. All that information is available there, including this new report starting January 20th. We're excited. For coaching, master coaching, or if you want to become a Gallup certified strengths coach, like Dean was mentioning earlier, send us an email. I've said this a dozen times already, but coaching@gallup.com. It's amazing how many emails I get to my name that say, hey, what's that email address? And I think it's easier to remember that than my name. Anyways, stay up to date with all our future webcasts by joining us in the Facebook groups or the LinkedIn groups as well. I'm out there all the time on LinkedIn if you want to do that, or find us just by searching Clifton Strengths. And if you enjoy this or found this helpful, share it with your coaching friends, your mastermind groups, those individuals that you are coaching, your organization as well. Thanks for listening today, and thanks for coming out with that. We'll say goodbye, everybody.